Hey folks, welcome back. Time for the Blood Furnace. I'm gonna jump right into this. Enjoy. So before I get into commentary on the dungeon itself and our gameplay therein, I'd like to go into a little more detail about my spec. During episode 1, I mentioned that I was survival. Well, here's the spec I eventually wound up with, that I'm currently playing with at this time. This time being long after this episode, now that I'm level 70. Why survival? Because I'm a newbie to TBC and I want to intimately learn my spec strengths and weaknesses before I hit endgame. I imagine Scatter Wyvern is more of a PvP spec, but you guys know how I like to meme. And hey, it's been pretty fun and pretty useful in dungeons so far. I can either chain CC if my group demands it, or I can put out some nice AoE with clever traps. Some notes though, I took sure-footed over maxing out Survivalist, expecting my group to outlevel me, and indeed they did. So between full T3, another 3% hit from talents, and being a hunter, I was able to join in for Set the Calls at a pretty low level. It'll also give me some more options for swapping gear around at 70 until I have some kind of idea about how to gear up, which I don't at the time of this episode. Finally, why 205 efficiency over Go for the Throat? Well, that's because Dragonhawks don't have a focus stomp. If you're playing with anything other than a meme pet that literally can't use its focus fast enough, do not pass up Go for the Throat. Right, so at the moment I'm spec'd into the BM side of things, along with maxed out serve stuff, 3 of 3 exposed weakness and Wyvern Sting. Later, feeling its absence, I'm gonna take a point out of exposed weakness and put it in Scattershot. And that'll leave the BM stuff to max out by the time we hit 70. That's all on the spec, let's see what we've been up to here. There wasn't actually a Blood Furnace run I liked, and it was the same way with Ramparts too. Because this is a time of learning and improvement, I'm simply too inexperienced to demonstrate anything properly. We do have some good moments in this run, so I'll do my best to commentate on those, but just pay attention to my mistakes. I make a lot, and it'll be easier to spot the differences between my technique in this one, and in future episodes with each one that comes out. Alright, enough of that, let's get into this. So we're weaving away here, we're practicing our weaving, and we're going to keep opportunistically smacking things that get a little bit too close, and we're also going to try to keep inching closer to targets when there are delays in our shots and other such things. Right there was a lovely Wind Fury proc, but I could have fit an auto shot between my attacks there, at least on the other target. Without a dead zone, we can freely shoot and smack things more often, more cleanly. I'm going to line myself up for a multi-shot here, which does indeed chain into the melee. The target in the center of the room has pulled the patrol. It has been stunned with a Shadow Fury, so it cannot hit our tank. Or it couldn't, and now it can. It's free casting now, so we'll range it down. Tucana's moving in and the stuff is pulling, so we'll multi-shot it before it gets too far away from one another. The other stuff in the room has also pulled, so we'll just run in and see if we can get a Bladestorm proc. Which we do, in fact, so I'll pop my Jump Gabar. There's a target at the far end of the room attacking someone, and there's an imp behind us which we still need to finish off. We fire off a quick multi-shot from very close range before going back into another Bladestorm, and this was actually a fairly successful Bladestorm. It was one of those rare instances in TBC, it seems, where it works. Moving on though, our Warlock has immolated something, and he is a Destruction Warlock if you haven't noticed, spamming his destructive spells and using Shadow Fury and such, which I hear some Warlocks are tentative about using, and I don't quite understand that because it seems incredibly powerful. It's an AoE stun which can disable casters and give some leeway to party members, which we will see at certain points throughout this episode. We were knocked up in the air there, but we can still range that one and smack this one, so that's what we'll do. We'll swap between the targets. This one is now the only target left, so we have to weave a bit to finish it off. I am going to throw out a Wyvern Sting once in a while to make pulls a bit easier. It doesn't change the pace at which we clear, it only means that we have less stuff to deal with at a given time, which in fact can speed things up if things are running more efficiently without an extra thing loose. The target is casting at us right now, and that's why I hit it with the Wyvern Sting, because having it cast on us is really inconvenient. Just like with this Warlock I just shot. I shot it and immediately turned around. Hopefully it runs towards me. It seems someone else has taken aggro, so I'm just going to run up and attack it. In fact, I cast an aim shot on it, which actually does work out okay in this sort of case, because we pretty much finished off the target with it. Remember, we've established that aim shot causes a massive delay on your attacks, your auto attacks at least, after being fired. I don't know why that's the case in TBC, but apparently it is. And that's why we really shouldn't be using aim shot commonly. Of course, I don't realize that yet, so you'll be seeing a lot more of aim shot throughout this run. But it only really works out when we can take advantage of the delay, somehow, or if we're finishing something with it, which, again, probably isn't ideal if there's something else that we can throw out instead. I imagine there might be something to using aim shot if you're at maximum range, if you're going to use that time, the delay, to run in so you can weave on things, but you're more likely to get more out of the GCD after multi-shot or arcane shot instead. I suspect. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm onto something there with the aim shot thing, but nevertheless, we're moving on here, and coming up on the very first boss fight in Blood Furnace. We've got to clear this whole room of trash to get there though, and we've pulled 2 packs accidentally. A Shadow Fury has gone out and hit all of them, which was great. I've been knocked up, but I can feign it off. I'm setting up an aim shot at the moment, and have a look at this delay right here. I go into weave, there is no blue bar, but I go out anyway. I just threw out a wing clip instead, because my auto attack was still being delayed. Definitely not ideal, yeah? These trash packs only come in pairs, or rather these trash mobs only come in pairs, but in the next room, or the next hallway and then the next room, we will be seeing trios of stuff. This target has come close to us, so we've smacked it. And now this one can be finished off by my group mates because I need to play Minesweeper. I'm going to use Eyes of the Beast to trip these mines. My teammates are near this one, so I'm going to hold off a second. Here we go. Takanu did not eat that one, but I believe Worth did. And the pet is especially adept at absorbing that mine damage because of its nice perks in TBC. It's avoidance. The first boss is kind of squishy. Actually, all the bosses are somewhat insignificant. I should have been popping cooldowns on cooldown, really, but it's a habit that I need to get into. I don't know what we're up against in TBC just yet, but the trash mobs are certainly the most dangerous. Speeding through them is the most consequential impact that we can have on our dungeon grinding speed. I mean, those mines hurt. I don't know if you noticed, but they do like 2k damage, or over 1.5k damage. And this isn't even heroic. I've heard from my guildies who hit 70 very early and got right into heroics that heroic Blood Furnace is actually rather difficult. And here I go spinning for no reason. There's nothing around, but I'm going to keep spinning because I like spinning. I like the spinnies and I like the fire-breathing Flappy Boy. Or grill, actually. I went to the wetlands and I got my pet cursed by those ghost pirates, and she turned into a female undead sailor, so it's confirmation that she is a female dragon hawk. I don't know if you knew about that, but it's a fun little trick to determining your pet's gender, which might be important if you care about the name at all, and I do like my immersive names. There was a rogue over there that we churned up in our meat grinder of a blade storm and such, and we're already on the next trash pack, but I'm going to have a bit more of a drink. Now we can get up and multi-auto arcane and run in and smack something, or attempt to. We were parried there. Too bad my multi-shot is still on cooldown because I could have used that to dead zone shot that target on me. We've hit this target with an auto shot, but we're charging up an aim shot immediately after that. A long delay later and the next auto shot flies. Arcane stopped to multi, and I could have stopped to auto there too a little bit sooner, but I faltered, I lapsed. We'll smack this guy since he's just about dead, and finish off that succubus. Charging ahead, we'll get up from our drink and fire off the auto multi arcane auto, and see if we get the chance to smack anything here. I've got stuff casting on me, which is pushing back my aim shot, but I did get it off. And I tried to weave there sooner, but the delay stopped me. I was able to get the Raptor Strike off by the end of it, and it did finish that mob. I've got this guard on me now, and I'm going to multi-shot before the targets get too far away from one another. Dash in momentarily to get off the melee swing, and dash out. We can stutter step pretty much in melee range now. And I turn around, and this next pack is right here. Anyway, yeah, we can stutter step pretty much in melee range now. If we're out of melee range even a moment, we can get that next auto shot off, which makes it pretty fun if you have something on you, something trailing after you. You step in momentarily, you hit it, you step out, fire off the auto shot, and by then it's caught up for another swing. Unfortunately, Takanu bit the dust right here, so we're going to go dance atop his corpse, or just stand here. But there was a rogue there that I missed with my flare, so we'll hit that since it's here. This next room is where the gauntlet leading up to the next boss occurs. There is so much trash in this room, 4 waves of which will spawn before we fight the boss himself, or itself, that big floating thing through the door at the end of the room. Back in Wrath of the Lich King, I was in here with some friends at level 80, and we managed to pull that boss through the door, but no one could target him, so we couldn't kill him, and he wound up killing all of us. Kind of irrelevant, but it's a funny memory that I have about this room and this boss. He's untargetable until after we've completed the aforementioned gauntlet of trash mobs, other than the ones that we're currently killing right now. And targeted range is about dead, so I'm just going to smack this technician, and we'll continue on with yet another aimed shot, and also a multi-shot. We're after the thing that gets close. I've dropped an explosive trap because I can do that in combat now, and I'll try to keep things away from me. The Shadow Fury has gone out, so I'll step away. I do get knocked up, which prevents me from using my multi-shot, but I was able to fire an arcane shot out in the air, since it is an instant shot, a truly instant shot. It does not have a 0.5 second cast time. Weave on the last remaining targets. The last 2 trash packs before we go ahead and start that gauntlet. I've put out a multi-shot, and I'm charging up an aim shot on an arbitrary target. I am being cast on, but it did manage to go off before the Shadow Bolt hit me. Weave on that target since it's there, and that helps kill it. Finish that other one with a single target multi-shot, and finish off that Warlock with an auto and an arcane. Last trash pack, our friend Ibara has fired off his multi-shot. I've started up an aimed shot and fired it off along with a multi-shot. I've moved in somewhat, but I can't smack anything due to the delay. I just got a Raptor Strike off, which did crit thanks to Savage Strikes. We're going to do a bit of stutter stepping since this technician is on me, and a mouse over multi finishes them both. That gauntlet triggers when we open the doors via that lever there. I fired off a multi-shot, and I'm going to again charge up an aim shot because I don't know any better, and moved in to attempt to weave some. And I do get a smack or 2 off. So I'll back up, fire off the arcane, fire off the auto, single target multi, and then the door behind us is going to open. An aim shot has flown out, followed by an arcane, and multi-shot is off cooldown, so I'll finish one of the targets with it. I've gotten a Blade Storm proc, so I'll pop my Jump Kabar. There's only one target though, so it's not a very good Blade Storm. Nevertheless, I continue to spin because I like to spin, and we'll get a white swing off to finish this trash pack. The third door, or whatever those things are, opens just behind us on the right. I'll open with a multi-shot, one of those charges ahead right into our healer, but we catch up to it. A Shadow Fury has hit every target while I hit a Blade Storm proc, but I just get concussed before the first tick goes out. Again, all the mobs in TBC dungeons seem to have, I mean, a lot of the mobs in TBC dungeons seem to have some form of CC, some sort of ability that makes it really difficult to use the Blade Storm in TBC. In vanilla dungeons, it's very simple to pull a ton of things, and as long as you have the numbers, you can just spin all day on them, and they won't really do anything. But yeah, I found through my Blood Furnace and Hellfire Ramparts runs that it's certainly preferable under most circumstances, it seems, to keep your standard melee weapon out. Oh, this is the boss, by the way. He's the big floaty eyeball boy who spits acid and also has some acid pool. It spawns during the fight at some point, but it didn't spawn that time. We're headed into this room, crossbow blazing, multi-shots out. We've yeeted into this pack of imps, but there are no more Blade Storm procs today. Not yet, anyway. So we're simply going to Raptor everything that's in our face, and multi-shot everything else. And hope we get some heals, because those imps' fireballs are really hurting me. And, of course, C, the potato, little Spud, is very, very attentive. He's actually rather new to healing, from what I understand. In vanilla, he was Potato, the little Spud that we saw on You might remember him from Huygen in the next Rammus episode. If you don't, then go check that one out. 57 in the Classic Hunter series. Anyway, he's healing now, and doing a damn good job at it too, because things sure are really chaotic at the moment between our Warlock trying to enslave new targets, and me pulling threat because I don't understand threat mechanics yet. I never understood threat mechanics, I just play a hunter, so it's really easy to not pull threat, or at least it was before TBC, and now I can be the master of shenanigans of any regard. We're going to move into this room and see if we can get some more damage done. Our Warlock did drop a Shadow Fury on all these things, and if you noticed, I dropped an explosive trap over there hoping to lose everything there, but nothing came into the other room. These final trash mobs are the last ones before the last boss. They're kinda nasty, they hit pretty hard, they have an intercept, and our Warlock wants one since they seem to hit a lot harder than the blue ones that he was using earlier. But they're accompanied by Warlocks in the last couple of packs, and they seem to empower their friends. Which would be an issue if I couldn't knock them out from 41 yards. And you see, that's the advantage of Wyvern Sting. You remove something that could be potentially dangerous from an already dangerous pack of trash. We don't have the caster casting on the healer while the melee mobs move out of range of our tank with their intercept and such. It just makes things so much easier to deal with, and some friends of mine who've played Survival back in the day, back in OG TBC, tell me, hey, that should be useful in Heroics, and indeed, I hope it is. We're going to take this pack on normally though, and let's see what happens. I've got Corruption on me, and I've somehow managed to tick off both of these guys, but C's lightning fast reaction time saves my life right there, and because I have a ton of major healing potions, I pop one to help him out too. We've lost aggro on the one that's dead now, and we'll finish off this last one with a little bit of stutter stepping. And here's the final boss room. Isn't it cool how they make this little pentagram, and the 25-man boss is below us, down there? Keli'dan. He was kind of important in Warcraft 3, at least for Illidan's story, as he conquers Outland, hoping to flee from the Burning Legion. But then Kil'jaeden shows up like, hey, you're still doing this thing that we asked you to do, right? And Illidan's like, fine, yeah, I guess I am. I guess I am gonna go kill the Lich King. No easy task, but I'll do it. And then he fails, so he eventually comes back to Outland here. Illidan, that is, and since he's defeated Keli'dan, he owns the Black Temple, the Black Citadel, I believe it was called in Warcraft 3, or maybe that was just the name of the tile set. And because the Legion is ticked at him for failing his job, they're also on Outland hunting him down, which is why we see some Illidari and Legion forces combating each other in the Burning Crusade. Anyway, that was the final boss, but we are moving on to some bonus clips before we end out this episode. Just some more clips from another run where we get to see a little bit more weavy action, and maybe some more spinnies. This was only a 2-mob pull, but I popped out the Wyvern Sting arbitrarily, because why not? And for some reason, Wyvern Sting is a cooldown I remember to use rather often, but my Badge of the Swarmguard and Jam Gabar are criminally underused. Maybe because I like to save the damage for bosses, but again, the trash is probably the most pressing obstacle in our way. And we need to work our way past those quicker, and I'll realize that, and I'll remember that, and I'll use it more in later episodes. And I'll also figure out not to use aim shot. I have an easier time figuring that out after Steady Shot comes out, and it feels so much better. Or rather, after we unlock Steady Shot. But until then, I've been opportunistically using aim shot, and it's not exactly ideal. Especially when I don't realize what it is that's causing my auto shot to feel so janky, what it is that's causing that delay. Anyway, this pack came after the first boss. We kinda got an extra patrol in there. I dropped an explosive trap, and I've put my multi-shot on cooldown. Due to simply using all of our AoE assets, we've managed to cleave together some fairly decent damage. It'll be easier to strategize with less chaotic pulls. like the normal 3-pack pulls in this hallway. The technicians might drop some landmines and make things a bit chaotic, but with 2 auto attacks or more with Wind Fury, and a little bit of assistance from Shadow Fury, things stay under control quite well. Here we pull a whole bunch of stuff from the red room into the last hallway, a nice tight space where a trap might go rather well, so we'll put one down now that everything's here, now that everything will trip the explosive trap all at once. Still getting used to that delay after a trap is dropped, but hey, I'm really glad that we can drop them in combat now. The Shadow Fury certainly helped, and we're just going to weave on the rest of these things to finish them off. A nice Wind Fury proc to end right there. Now we're going to attempt to Blade Storm a bit more on these big packs. Not having aggro would really help me not get stunned during a Blade Storm proc, so I've feigned everything off. Things are a bit too spread now, so I'll fire out the multi-shot. There's something running around in the distance there, so we'll run up to it, and it charges off again. It's afraid of us! It's afraid! I opportunistically Raptor Strike that target next to me, and range that target. Here we are just before the last boss again. Once again I've Wyvern stung that Warlock so that the other mobs will come towards us. There's a certain rhythm you get into after a while in these runs. A certain synergy that you establish with your group if you happen to be teaming up here, like I have with my group before TBC launched. Some decent weaving on this here ramp. It's a bit tricky because everything's always moving around, it's hard to see, but all's well. The other target was enslaved, so we'll head back towards this Warlock here and try to finish it off with a smack. Pow! Final pack. Again, the Warlock and Demons are pulled together because I don't have a Wyvern Sting up, so I can't assist that way. There are some enslaved shenanigans that go on here, so keep your eye on which targets are hostile and which are not. These targets are charging around like crazy. It is pretty chaotic. Taking out the Warlock would remove a consistent factor, and it's probably ideal because he becomes the out-of-control loose thing once the out-of-control loose things are under control. And now we're going to see some spinnies. There's some stuff to remark on here, but I'll say my final notes and farewells. Steady shot is what defines our rotation in the Burning Crusade, and by the next run we'll pick it up. At that time, being able to see it for ourselves, I feel comfortable talking about our rotation there. Without the one button macro, it's actually really complicated. But I think I've come up with a few simple rules to follow that make performing the rotation, quote-unquote, easier. There are some other things to remember, but again, we'll talk about it some more in the slave pens. You could also drop by the Ravager Den, the Discord server linked in the description, if you want to hang out. I'm very active between episodes, and regardless of my sloppy and unpracticed execution, there is some useful knowledge we circulate there about the proper procedure, among other things. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!